Hi, everybody, and welcome to Scholarly Research for Academic Writing. My name is Jessica Almeida. I am a librarian here at UMass. As you can see, here's my contact information. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about this video or about scholarly research, so feel free to contact me. You can also email me. I do research consultations, so if you want to research one-on-one with me, to get articles and sources for your specific topic, please reach out. I'm happy to make an appointment with you. Okay, so today we have a few things on our agenda. The first is that I'm going to show you our library guide, which is on scholarly legal research. We're going to talk about topic selection. We're going to go into Westlaw Today and Law 360, and I'm going to show you these are news databases to help you get some ideas, some topic ideas. Next, we're going to talk about how to do a literature review, which is just a fancy term that means we're going to find some articles on your topic. We're going to talk about overviews. These are great if, the topic is new to you. And then I put questions here, but you can email me. I'll have my contact information, and then you can email me with any questions that you have or stop by. So first, we're going to jump into our library guide. It is on the library website. So let's go there first. So here we are on the library website. We're going to scroll down to research guides under catalog and research. We have a number of research guides, but the one we're looking for is scholarly legal research, closer to the bottom. We're going to be using two tabs today. The first is choosing a topic, and then later on we're going to find some articles. So let's start with the choosing a topic. We have some tips. I think tips is a great word. Tips for getting started with topic selection. Of course, you want to make sure that you choose a topic that interests you. You can look for circuit splits, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute. We can check the current legal news. As soon as we're done here in the library guide, I'm going to jump out and we'll go to Westlaw Today and Law 360. Once you have a topic idea, it's great to explore some of the news, blogs, cases, articles. You're looking for different viewpoints. And then you want to think about what's your unique contribution. How are you going to, if you pick a problem to solve as your topic, then how are you solving that problem? And then if you are doing a law review note or you're considering publication, you would need to do a preemption check. That would be looking into legal scholarship, law reviews and journals to make sure that the article hasn't already been published. All right, let's take a minute to talk about circuit splits. So a circuit split is an unresolved point of law when two or more circuit courts disagree. The way to find these is that you want to go into Lexis or Westlaw. We've put together some search strings for you here. So you would go into Westlaw or Lexis, you would hit cases. In the search box, you would put one of these search strings and then insert your legal issue. You would hit the search button. When your results load, I want you to go up to the drop-down menu that says relevance, and I want you to make sure that it says newest to oldest, because you want circuit splits that are newer. And that will make, hopefully you find a great topic for your paper. Another great place to find topics is legal news. Like I said before, we'll talk about Westlaw Today and Law 360 in just a minute, but I also wanted to point out these additional resources through Westlaw and Lexis. They both have a scholarly research guide that will help you use Westlaw and Lexis to find a topic. All right, let's jump out of here and go into Lexis and look at Lexis 360. I'm back on the library website. I'm scrolling down to quick links. I'm clicking on Lexis Plus. I'm going to click on the big red Lexis button. On the left-hand side, my tile is on legal research. I need it to be on Legal News Hub, so it's the very last tile. Here is Law 360. There's a number of ways that you can use this database. The first is if you have certain keywords that you'd like to find an article on, you can use the search bar in the right-hand corner. Some other ways that you can find interesting articles is that you can go to all sections, and this is where they put subject-specific newsletters. So if I'm doing a paper on employment law, I would click on employment, and that would give me some articles to look at that are current and their topics or issues that are currently happening in the in the employment law sphere. You can subscribe just by clicking here, and then every day you'll get this newsletter with the newest news in your inbox. On the right-hand side, they also have expert analysis, and these are like opt-eds from practitioners in the field that are taking on interesting topics of the day. Now that we've taken a second to look at Law 360, let's jump over to Westlaw and look at Westlaw today. I'm back here on the library website. I'm going to click Westlaw Precision and sign in. Once on the landing page, we'll go to Westlaw Precision. Once on the Precision homepage, you're going to go to the drop-down menu in the top left corner. Here you'll find Westlaw Today. Let's take a look at the Westlaw Today homepage. As you can see, they have the most viewed articles. They have attorney analysis, so once again, like opt-eds. On the top right, you have a search bar, so you can put in your keyword terms if you're looking for something specific. At the top, they have practice areas. So if we click on this, you'll see the different newsletters that they have, just like Law 360. So if you were interested in doing a paper on something on intellectual property, you could click here and it will give you all of the relevant practitioner news in intellectual property. On the right-hand side, they have the most viewed articles and attorney analysis, and this will just be specifically in IP. You can also search the IP section right here. So that is just a quick tour of Westlaw Today. Now we have a topic. Hopefully you got one from Legal News or during a circuit split. So these are the things you need to think about. What is your topic? What is your thesis? And what keywords and synonyms do you associate with your topic and your thesis? The example I'm going to use today as we go into the databases to do a literature review or to find some articles, the thing I'm going to research is getting rural communities access to legal information representation and the courts. So my thesis or proposed solution is states and municipalities should provide technological assistance so that rural communities have easier access to the courts, lawyers, and legal information. Now, this is just something that I picked up from a news article. Here is a news article that came across my listserv, one of the listservs that I belong to or subscribe to. And this was rural communities and access to internet problem. This is actually a Canadian online magazine. So I know that if there's too much information or this topic has been done from a US perspective, I can always do maybe a comparative piece looking at this problem from the United States and from Canada's perspective. So my keywords, there's so many. This is a very long list. And as I'm researching, this list might get a little bit longer. But I've added some keywords here, rural communities, etc. And then I tried to think of some synonyms such as legal deserts, which are what rural legal communities are known as, and local government instead of municipalities. I just want to make a quick tip about keywords and synonyms. Just be careful about the words that you use because sometimes language changes over time. For example, if you use the words domestic violence, you may only get articles from the 90s and early 2000s because the language has changed and now we call it intimate partner violence. The same with specific words. For instance, children. There's lots of synonyms for children. There is minor, there's juvenile. So you need to think about any of your keywords and if they might have additional synonyms. And as you're researching, you might come across additional synonyms that you want to add to your list or additional keywords. Let's go back to the library guide and look at the tab on finding articles. Now I'm back on in the library guide, and the tab I'm going to look at is finding articles. Now, there's a lot of different places that you can find articles through the library. These are just a few. So you have legal and interdisciplinary databases. Today, I'm just going to be focusing on the legal databases, but if you have any questions on using interdisciplinary databases, please reach out. There are free online databases. You probably have heard of Google Scholar, but there's also other services like SSRN. And then, of course, there's interlibrary loan. If you come across any articles or books or any sources that you're having trouble getting the full text of, please email the library and we'd be happy to help you get access to them or get you a copy. The three legal databases that I'll be talking today are Westlaw, Lexis, and Hein Online. I'm going to start in Hein because most students haven't used it before. We'll spend a little bit of time in there, and then I'm going to jump into Westlaw and Lexis real quick, just as a refresher, because you've probably used Westlaw and Lexis recently. On this page, there's also a section on how to find journals by title, how to find interdisciplinary articles through the library catalog, which is called Primo. And then there are some additional information on multidisciplinary databases such as JSTOR or Academic OneFile. You may remember them from your undergrad days. And then, of course, there's the open access databases, as I was talking about before, Google Scholar, SSRN, and there's also one called the Digital Commons Network. Let's leave here, go back to the library website because we want to look at Hein Online. Here I am at the quick links again. I'm going to click on Hein Online. Hein Online is a large database of full text law review articles and journals. It also has a lot of historical documents as well. It's great for doing legislative history. I'm going to do a search two ways. I'm going to do a very narrow search, and then I'm going to do a very broad search. Let's start with the narrow search. I'm going to click on Advanced Search. In the section title or the article title, I'm going to add some of my keywords. So I might put rural access to justice. And then in the full text, I might want to put internet or technology. I'm going to put both. And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to hit the search bar. So what I'm asking the algorithm to do is look for rural access to justice in the title and then internet and technology anywhere in the document. It gives me 13 results. So let's take a look at these results. So rural access to justice through mentoring. This is from the Colorado Lawyer, which is a trade publication. And I always look at the date to see if it is newer or it's older. There's nothing wrong with using older articles. However, I have a Google Scholar trick that I always use to make sure that I'm not missing anything that's a little bit more current. Law Stretched Thin, Legal Access to Justice in Rural America. This is from the South Dakota Law Review, 2014. So dated, but right on point. You can also see the Pathfinder subjects that are with this article that will tell me more about what this article is about. So it's about health, it's about education, it's about the legal profession. So that gives me an idea of what the article is about and whether or not I want to click in and read it. Now, as I'm going through these articles, sometimes I'm just reading the abstract, the introduction. I'm looking through the table of contents to see if this would be a good source for my paper. They had access, but they didn't have justice. Why prevailing access justice initiatives fail rural Americans. This sounds great. Georgetown Journal of Poverty Law and Policy, and it's from 2021, so it's only 4 years old. This is definitely an article that I want to read. So as you can see, the search we conducted was very successful. I want to show you that Google Scholar trick that I was talking about before. Notice the next one, Legal Deserts, a multi-state perspective on rural access to justice. This is from the Harvard Law and Policy Review, but it's from 2018, so it's slightly dated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the title and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to put it in Google Scholar. So here's the article, and it's been cited 250 times. So 250 articles have cited this original article. So if we click in here, we can also look for anything on our topic that's similar to our original article that might be a little bit more current. So you can look since 2025 and see if there's anything that's brand new that we might have missed in our initial search. Because it's Google Scholar, you might not be able to click and get full text. If you're having trouble getting any of these articles, feel free to send it to the law librarians and we'll try to get you a copy. Now, I mentioned that I was going to search 2 different ways in Heim. The first one was a very narrow search. Now we're going to do a very broad search. I'm going to put my key terms here in the search box. Same words, except now I'm just putting them in the search box and hitting the search button. Now, as you can see, my results are much higher, but we can use the limiters on the left-hand side to narrow our results. The first thing I'm going to do is go to collection or library. The 2 that you're looking for is Law Journal Library and Core US Journals. These 2 are specific databases that have law review articles. The third one you might want to consider is international or non-US law journals. If you are doing a comparative piece or something on international law, you should click that button too. We're going to go down here and apply the facets. So our results have decreased, but not enough. We still can't look at all of these results. I'm going to take a minute to just take a peek at the first few articles to make sure that my search is still valid. So mobile internet access, yes. Collaborative technology proves access to justice, yes. Perfect. Now let's keep going. The next one I want to do is section type. I'm going to click on articles and notes, because I'm not going to need anything else except articles and notes. And then I'm going to hit apply. It got rid of about 5,000 results. Let's keep going. The next thing we can do is we can talk about location. Now, as you can see from this list, there are a lot of international locations. So let's just make sure that we are focusing on the United States of America. We could also look to see if Canada is in here as well if we wanted to do that comparative piece. And we're going to hit apply. Once again, now we have 5,994. Still too many, but we're still limiting and we're getting good results. As you can see, we're checking to make sure that our results list is still valid. Let's go back up here. The last one I'm going to try is Pathfinder subjects. Now, these are subject headings that are put with each of the articles that tell us what the subject of each article is. And this is a great way to cut through and limit what types of articles you look at. For our search today, I'm going to take a peek at state and local government law. My thought is that my thesis is about how state and local government can help with the digital divide and create a way for rural communities to access legal education and the courts. So I'm going to go ahead and click that and apply. Now, if I realize that my results list maybe isn't great, I'm not getting the sources that I thought I would come back and change my Pathfinder subject. No problem. So now with the new Pathfinder subject, we have 165 results. I'm going to take a look at the first 10 or 20 to see if I can get some really interesting articles to start with. The law stretched thin. We looked at this one before, and I think it's going to be on point, so I'm going to take a look at this one. We've seen this one as well. Once again, on point, so I'm going to make sure that I take a look at it. This is also an article that we've seen before. So we know that our search is valid and we're getting some really good results. And these are what I'm going to take a peek at and may use as sources for my paper. Okay, let's jump into Westlaw and Lexis, and we're going to do some searching there as well. This time I'm going to start in Westlaw. I'm going to go to secondary sources, law reviews and journals. In the top search box, I'm going to use my connectors and expanders to put my key terms together so that I can hopefully get a valid search. So we want rural in the same sentence as access to justice, in the same sentence as internet or technology. And I hit my search button. So this gives me 44 articles to look at. Once again, we check our results to make sure that our search is valid. Witness from the justice bus, COVID equal to justice off the road, but technology grabbed the wheel and is steering us towards the future. This is a 2022 article from the Mitchell-Hamline Law Review. So gap in the road, no right to access justice in rural America and the Northland. This seems like it's on point. Moving tax disputes online without leaving taxpayers, that doesn't seem like it's what I'm looking for exactly. It looks like the reason why it picked it up was because it was in a footnote, that Harvard article that we had seen in Hine, that's what it picked up. The Geography of Unfreedom from 2023 Michigan Law Review. So this looks like it's also citing a different article. So even though our results aren't on point, we would be able to find additional sources through these articles because they have cited to articles that are probably going to be of interest to us. A way to filter is to go down here and we could do it by jurisdiction. So let's do national. We could do it by date. Publication type is going to be law reviews and journals. You could do it by publication name. I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. So we only have 34. So here we have the wheels on the bus and the tax dispute and the unfreedom, treatment courts, rural rescue, tackling Arkansas's legal deserts through proven statutory reform. This sounds great, and it's from 2025, and it's subject specific. So I could use this as maybe some of my solutions to how other states could go about getting rural access to justice. We saw this one in Hine. So 50-50 here in Westlaw, but let's continue on, and I'm gonna copy this and we're gonna take it to Lexis and see what our results in Lexis will be. Okay, I'm gonna go to the content tab. Under secondary materials, I'm hitting law reviews and journals. I'm putting in my search terms. Let me get rid of this. Make sure that it's good to go. Okay. 64 articles. So the first one looks great. This one looks great as well. All right, so now I'm going to go over to the left-hand side and use my facets to make this list a little bit smaller. So I can search within the results. I can add additional terms. I can do jurisdiction. We could do federal, which only gives us 2 actually. So I'm going to leave that open. But if you had a specific state that you were looking for, you could click on the state. Let's do non-jurisdictional and let's do US federal and see what happens. Article bringing access to justice to the local community. Yeah. So some of these are good, but I actually think that our original search without the jurisdictions was actually kind of better. So I'm going to take them off. I'm going to unclick. You can do it by sources. There's practice areas and topics that you could use to limit your search. There's also this great keyword. So sometimes if I am struggling with my keywords, I'll come over here and see if they have extra keywords that I might want to add to my search, such as online, barrier, shortage. These are all great words. So that is just a quick look at how you would use Westlaw and Lexis in the same way to find articles. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some overviews. Let's go back to the library website. Here we are back on the library website. I am going to go to West Academic Study Aid Library. If you are doing your paper on a subject that you know very little about, it's good to get an overview in it. For instance, if you are doing an environmental law topic, you can type environmental law into the search box. Once you have your results list, go to the left-hand side under filter results, and you're going to want to click on overviews. One of my favorites is the Nutshell series. These are great if you just need a quick and easy guide to a certain type of law or area of law. You can go into the Browse Book tab and it will give you your table of contents. You can expand them and just find the sections that you need to read up on so that you have a good foundation for doing research on your topic. Another great place on the library website is Lexis Digital Library. Here we have the Understanding series. The Understanding series is an overview and can be really helpful when you're trying to first understand a topic. Each book has a table of contents and an index for easy searching. Now that we've taken a look at overviews, let's go back to the library website where we can look at our contact information just in case you have any questions. Here we are back on the library website. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit and show you our contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly or the law librarians at lawlib@umassd.edu. All of the law librarians also do research consultations. If you would like to make an appointment to sit down with the librarian, talk about your topic, and get some scholarly sources for your paper, please feel free to reach out to us at lawlib@umassd.edu. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.